G'day guys, my name's Daniel. I'm from Preston Architects, and I'm going to talk about the Tate House. So the Tate House is an iconic Tasmanian house built in 1959 by the late Esmond and designed by the late Esmond Dorney, a renowned Tasmanian architect recognised for his unusual and distinctive postmodern architecture. Listed on the Tasmanian Heritage Register, primarily for its curved, lightweight roof structure and use of glass, the works were considered through the lens of maintaining and conserving the significant aspects of the home, whilst building upon them through the new work. Located in Warringa, just south of Hobart, once a beachside suburb, I suppose our clients approached us initially to first and foremost restore the home, modernise the home, and provide some additional sort of outdoor space. Currently, the outdoor sort of inside-outside relationship was not great. Modernise the kitchen, provide better living spaces internally, and a new master bedroom complete with ensuite. An additional layer to the client's brief as well was that one of our clients had MS, so we had to try and accommodate sort of for her mobility in the future. So the existing building, it was rather dilapidated, but I suppose it still did have some very good structure and some basis to itself, regardless. But you can sort of see that with regards to the decks, the levels, the glazing beads, the fascias, everything needed to be reworked and restored, if you like. The rear of the property, there was an existing sort of unit located down below that wasn't part of the actual heritage significance of the building. And through the building, through the works, I suppose we actually had we were very, very fortunate. Our client was the nephew of the original owner of the building. And so he could provide some wonderful insight into how the building is to be, what the actual sort of significance of the significant elements within the building are. And also we liaised strongly with Tate Dorney as well, the son of Esmond Dorney. And through that process, I suppose that was sort of something which we sort of really did discuss the significant aspects of the building primarily, and then sort of work through those with both of those people. So we're very, very fortunate through the building works. Internally, I suppose the building was very, very simple. The lightweight curved roof rolled over the internal sort of layers of the layout of the building. But it was one thing, I suppose, which we sort of felt when we first went to the building. It actually was very, very small, very tight. And the roof itself wasn't something which was. There's this discussion about the lightweight roof structure, which sort of enveloped the whole of the building. And we sort of felt we can actually improve on that with the works that we were undertaking. And you can sort of see the kitchen, very, very small, largely unusable. And in behind sort of this, I suppose this timber sort of area here was where the existing bedroom was, and all of the doorways, the walkways, and whatever else into the bedroom just weren't going to be sufficient for someone with mobility issues in the future. So I suppose conceptually, the primary concept of the streetscape, through our discussions with Paddy, with Eric and others as well, the streetscape was obviously very, very important to maintain that from the aspect of an approach. The structure also very, very important. So we want to try and emphasise that in our works. And also, I suppose, the access and circulation into and around the buildings. All of Esmond Dorney's buildings, you generally do approach from the side. But also, I suppose, very important as well that when you did approach the building, you actually get that view when you sort of come into the building. So I felt that was very, very important to try and maintain these aspects. And then internally, the existing sort of layout concept was, with this sort of amenity on the, I suppose, the southern sort of side of the building, sort of tucked away in the back corner, and the kitchen sort of, sort of the front edge there, sort of opening up sort of that northern side of the building to the sun and the like. So with the proposed layout concept plan, we wanted to maintain that sort of layout and the like. So there was an extension of the amenity, the sleeping areas in the kitchen, still locating them on the southern side, but still trying to increase the widths of the doorways and the widths of the access points and the size of the kitchen, so it actually was accessible for someone in a wheelchair in the future potentially. And then increased living spaces to the north. We located an extended area at the lower level, so I've sort of shown the dash sort of area where the extension actually is there, and so that sort of maintained the view lines as we sort of approach the building, so that we weren't actually sort of impeding the visuals as we come into the building. And then, of course, the vertical circulation from inside as well. So the staircase sort of central to the living area, and that sort of is wide enough so that if we couldn't actually if we had to have a stair lift or something like that, we could accommodate that in the future. And also on the right-hand side there, at the back, we've actually sort of included for vertical circulation for a lift in the future, which has just been approved by, that's going through at the moment. And that's all to be undertaken and sort of concealed within the roof space. So it's actually not going to protrude beyond the actual roof envelope. And then, of course, the deck spaces level transition from inside to out, so that we can actually sort of get in and out of the building. The other thing, the new works internally, we sort of located those. We've actually sort of provided a datum sort of through the building. So a new built form is provided with with glazed tops to emphasise the lightweight ceiling form as it comes over the top. And then we've painted the ceiling of that sort of, in a very, very pale blue colour on the inside as well. So it's sort of from inside, you're looking out, you see the sky. There's this transition, you don't really see the roof at all. It makes that roof feel far lighter again. Then the express steel structure of the existing on the rear of the building. The new works, what we've tried to do is express the steel frame for the new works in a very straight linear manner, so that actually sort of it's different to the existing, but it's actually still sort of representative of what the existing is actually doing as well. So we're not sort of trying to recreate something completely new and something which is very, very different. So floor plans, and then we come to the building works itself. So, the timber sort of, cladding, the steel glaze, I suppose steel glazing. We've tried to sort of reconfigure all of the servicing throughout the building as well. So we actually haven't got any bad junctions. We've got down pipes and the like that. We've concealed all of those throughout the building. So you can sort of see this area here. The down pipe is actually sort of all being concealed in a manner which is, I suppose, far more refined. So we try to strip the whole building back and then put it back together. Internally, the ceiling, sort of the lining, the patterning of the ceiling is actually sort of relative to what the existing is. All of the electrical was originally sort of in between joints and junctions and things like that. And then a very, very simple palette on the inside just to try and make the actual building feel a whole lot bigger than what it actually is. And then the actual, the way that panelling is actually put together, almost primitive in a manner. So it's actually sort of not trying to be too finessed. It was something that we've actually tried to make it very, very simple. It is finesse because we had a wonderful builder, James Haywood from Thylacine Constructions, but it's actually sort of done in a very simple manner. It doesn't look too refined. It looks something which is sort of quite basic in the manner, in its appearance. So I'll just flick through these images.
We might go
and and that's just done.
You're done?
I'm done.
You're done.
I thought I'd better get through for you.
So just a quick question. It's in the heritage category.
Yes.
In terms of heritage, was there something briefly, something that you felt the project opened up about Esmond Dorney's work that's brought back into the new work? So for instance, there's a lightness there. I'm interested in how the material shifts occur because it was a dark palette originally.
It was the discussions we had was with the plywood on the inside, that was actually sort of the coating on the plywood that actually discoloured over time, whatever, so that had actually gone darker. The cladding on the outside as well, which is painted, that was actually originally it was clear, but that was painted sort of at a later date to try and sort of retain it or restore it, if you like. So that's why some of those things we sort of looked at and maintained. All of the lightweight steel structure. So we've actually double glazed the whole building. We've actually had to sort of do it in a manner where we've got some small extensions in some locations, but the lightness of that steel frame is still very much evident. So we sort of thought that was really important, but it was probably more to do with the ceiling. So when you first come into the building, by actually sort of, creating this datum of the new works or the insertions of these spaces within the building, they actually come up to a 2.4 datum with the glazing on the top. That whole roof sort of wraps over the whole lot. So I suppose when we talked about sort of like the lightweight structure is evident from the outside and the inside and things like that, we sort of felt as though we should probably grasp that and tried to run with it a little bit further and try and promote that a little bit more in the building. So yeah.
You talk about the buildings like a tent, and a lot of you're restoring the intent of the original kind of architects, but you didn't talk about the fact that it's unique in that it's as much public as a private house.
Yep.
So there's those remarkable photos where you see right through the building.
Yep.
Was that driven by you guys as much, or did the client really understand that?
The client really understood that. So that our client, he was the nephew of the original owner. And when we first went there was all curtains and blinds and things around in those windows. And he just said, we don't want that. We want to be able to open it up so they can see through the building and things like that. So we have actually sort of concealed, whilst they're face mounted, all the blinds sort of concealed around that datum as well. So we've done it in a manner so that when they're up, you don't see them. And then when you can actually put them down when you do want that bit of privacy as well. And then the fluted glass sort of, you can see in this elevation here, where we're providing privacy to the neighbours and things like that as well, but it's still got that sort of light feel about it.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Obviously, there's the tension between working with heritage and also the need for universal access.
Yeah.
I was wondering, did you feel that there was any sacrifices that had to be made to either of those?
I suppose the layout of the kitchen and things like that was a little bit more broad and open, but at the same token, it still sort of, responded to the existing configuration of what the building was. So in many ways, it sort of worked for us. Like, so there's some of those things which we wouldn't do in a normal project, but in this project, it actually worked very, very well. So sort of still had that relationship, which was what the existing sort of stuff was. So yeah, I don't think there was. Well, we tried to make so there wasn't compromise. That was what we tried to do. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All good?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.